Welcome to Saving UX. I'm your host, Jeremy Kriegel. Every episode, I talk to UX veterans about the challenges facing our practice and what we can do to make it better. Now, before we get into part 2 of my conversation with Ahmad Alhuwwari, what do you think of how each interview has been split into 2 parts? I know that they can be a bit on the long side, but I found that often some really interesting stuff happens once the conversation really gets going. I thought by breaking it up, it would be easier for you to catch the whole conversation without having to dedicate quite as much time each week. But let me know what you think. You can find me on LinkedIn, Jeremy Kriegel, or send me a tweet at Sonarc, that's at SONARC on Twitter. And now the conclusion of my conversation with Ahmad Alhuwwari. You know, you mentioned the even just that story of the orange logo, and I always think like consistency is great, except when it isn't. And it kind of highlights, the way I was introduced to your work was you gave a talk on designing for the Arabic world and talked about all the different ways, that things are culturally different, or, whether it's language, right to left to right. We won't dig into that because you've already done that talk. So hopefully we can provide people with a link where they can go listen to it, which I highly recommend. It was great. But I want to kind of get into some of these other elements about your experience. I want to go back to something you talked about. In your experience in Australia and Germany, you said you were a worker working for other leaders. Now you are a leader. I'm curious, what were the things that you took from other leaders that you worked for that you've emulated and brought into your practice as a leader? And what have you changed, either because the context is different, your style is different, or again, things in the Arabic world are different from things in the European world?
Okay. I'm really very happy to be with you. Really, you have a great host and a great questions. We learned the hard way and the nice way. I'm inspired by some leaders, how they deal with their teams. Also inspired some bad leaders not to do with my team. So one of the things...
Learn from anyone, right?
Yes. One of the things I learned, don't do micromanagement. I am... At the moment, if you ask me what my team members doing on a daily process, like very specific, what page they are development at the moment, really I don't know. Totally I don't know. I just know that they are working in the project within the sprint, blah, blah, blah. But like he doing this button or that page or enhancing that thing, no way. I have 13 people. If I want to follow up with them, I will, and also already I have my management meetings, all the other meetings, so I will not be having any time even to say hello to anyone. So I believe you need to hire the right people, and I always adore the quote from they say that Steve Jobs said, and today we have seen a lot of quotes are on the overnet, but I like it that we hire smart people to tell us what to do. I always insist on hiring the right people. And I'm very tough in the hiring process, but that means that you will be more, happy with how you manage your team. So I don't do any micromanagement. I always even say to my team within the first day, if I start to do micromanagement, be careful. That means you will be fired. Because if we will spend time doing their work, why we hire them in the first place? I always believe you hire people to do stuff even in better way that you used to do when you was a junior or a senior. So one of them, this is the most important thing I learned. Don't do micromanagement, and I learned it both ways. Some manager was never micromanagement me, and I was very good with them. And I face a person who really turn you in his mouse. He the last thing he sit in your lap and going with the mouse with you, like what the hell. So this is funny thing that really happened to me, that he was even I was doing some stuff, even how I was naming my files, and in a bad way really, that he was fighting on every detail, that he make my life really miserable in that company, that really he converting me as a tool, not as a person. Like he don't sometimes knowing that tool, or he don't have time to do something, so he like converting me in his tool. He give me zero space to creativity.
That's
for
very
example.
dehumanizing.
Yes. So I learned that hard way. Uh, as a manager, also, I choose first proactive. If you give me any skill or let us say characterization for a person, totally I always choose the proactive, even over the skill. Proactive will learn the skills. Manners also, sorry, manners first.
Does that tie into the politics, the people relationships?
Manners. Look,
Yeah.
it's not. It's about the team members again. Manners, like you can teach people skills, but you cannot teach them ethics.
Yeah.
You need a team player. You need a person who is not jealous in a bad way from his colleague, who just trying to find bad things to say about him. I don't like to run, team who having gossips all around and chit chats. Uh, really, I'm very lucky, and I always say the team that I have now in Orange is I enjoy being member of them. I'm very happy to be. I'm even blessed to be their leader. I really consider them one of the best team that I ever work with them. They are very humble. They are very collaborative. They are very. If anyone having a problem, all of them will be more than happy to give him a hand, even take his work without any extra credit, any not overtime, just to help him. So this is the spirit I always was dreaming about. So I always, if I see that any ego in anyone, I don't hire him because his ego will destroy the team. Even if he are the best skills person in the world, I prefer to work with mid skills people with high manners and high ethics than working with top skills people who having egos and stuff like that. They will not mix. And again, in companies, team spirit and team chemistry is the successful part, not the skills. Skills can be really can be long. I run many workshops. That again, I was lucky that part of my work as a lecturer, and you'll be surprised. Half of my team is already my students. I run as a diploma of UX design, and so when I start to put opening, all of my students was applying. But even if they was my student, they was going through the tough process that I have, and even my manager believing in my decisions now over the years, he trusts my because in some cases I was having the choice between two of my students, but always what he done through the interview and what he done through the task that I was give to him is the final decision to make sure that we are hiring the right people. Yes, maybe you my student, this is will not give you an advantage. What you're doing in the interview and your experience is the most important thing. So again, as a manager, I try not to be micromanagement. I believe in the chemistry and the manners of the team. They must be proactive. And always I forgive the first mistake. But I'm very tough on the second mistake. What that mean? That all of us learning, all of us, UX is about iteration. But to do the same mistake twice, that's crazy. So when I say second mistake, it's about repeating the same mistake again. And also something, the first mistake for you is the second mistake for another people in the team. So if anyone done a mistake in the team, so it's become the first mistake for the whole team. You must learn from others failing. So I always put that to everyone, like I telling them, don't repeat other, and for that we have this weekly, bi-weekly sessions that we come together, all of us, and we say where we fail this week. Let us learn. There is no pointing. It's okay. I telling them all the time. But on the other hand, don't repeat the other people's mistakes, please. Learn from other people. And this is, by the way, cutting the learning curve to a very minimizing time. When you're doing that, we learn from each other. And we not just learn from our, successful stories, we learn from failing stories more even sometimes. So even sometimes we learn it about how we deal with our product owners. Because in the end of the day, we dealing sometimes, yes, you are working in a portal team, but this is the same business owner that you're working when, we're having like the Portal team, Orange Money team, my Orange team. We're having another product without the name until now, but yes, we're having but in the end of the day, the business owners almost the same for all of the whole company. So even we share stories about what is the best way to communicate with other team members from the other departments. So we try our best to make it family, let us say, but always we respect other people like different. We trying as a management to encourage my people really, even if the company they didn't give me that thing. Like sometimes they don't give overtime for some people, even if they work overtime, because some politics or something like that. On my behalf, I give him half a day or 1 day vacation to give him like, okay, I appreciate your work. And always I am telling them that even if you didn't get that bonus sometimes or soft tag, you didn't get it because of the politics, but we appreciate your work. So I'm trying, let us say, to buffer and try to be helping personally my team within that big environment. Because again, as I told you, it's not if I need to give anyone a bonus or something, that can take months really as a process.
And I think there's research that shows that appreciation can be more impactful than the finances, assuming that people are making enough to cover their needs.
So,
there are so many topics I would love to dig into here, but the last one we just hit on, I'd love to explore. You talked about bringing in the right kind of people. I know so many people have different hiring processes. What is it that you feel you do in your hiring process that makes you more likely to weed out and select the right kind of people who are going to be the best colleagues and teammates and folks for your team?
Really, the process that we have, that I have the first interview, it's more chit chat, talking about his history. We have the HR people for sure. Then we give him a task, and then we have a technical interview talking about that task. And that task usually it's something not related to our company Orange at all. I pick another website and ask him, like maybe going through doing a little bit heuristic valuation and picking a process that he didn't like it, and he redesigned it and stuff like that. And from really the technical interview, we can see how he even react to feedback, how was his skill, how he really talking about his work, how he to present his work, how he's showing his results. So I'm trying in that second technical interview to test these things, because at the end of the day, for example, yes, we are working in an Arabic country, but he must speaking good English at least, because half of the board is French people. So, and our basic communication language through emails in English. Yes, our meetings in Arabic, but if we have any non-Arabic person directly, you must be able to switch to English without any problem. I'm sorry to say that, but yes, if he don't speak English at least, minimal professional level, sorry, I will not hire him. This is a challenge sometimes. So even with some outsources from other countries, because they come from countries they are not that very good in English, I pick some skills, but if his language is not good, I really was apologize to him and tell him, I'm very sorry I didn't pick you because of the language. Because at the end of the day, he must present his work. Because I always believe also, this is one of the things that you doing the work, you have the right to present it to upper management. I always encourage my student, my team members. I can't do that for them, really. But I don't do that. I am there in XCOM meetings and stuff like that, supporting them. But always, this is one of the things, because when even a jury or a senior, and he's, speaking in front of the chief officer and presenting his work, that also will give him confidence and even give him push more to see that, yes, I done the work and I'm presented. So I will be very proud of it and want to make it in the best way. So if we go back to the interview, I believe this is a process, because also we cover the HR part in the first interview, because also, by the way, the HR people in our company also, they have the right to eliminate people if they saw that from HR perspective they are not fitting. So there is a lot of values in the company. So, and for that the hiring process is need a little bit time. So it's a little bit long, and even sometimes I give them like couple of quizzes just to check the general knowledge. And but again, the technical uh, interview after his work really show me him how he really even understand the task. I put some tricky things into the task to see if he can see it or not. So this is really show me the level of knowledge that he have, and even how he communicate later on and how he present his work. Because our work in the end of the day is not just about delivering pages. It's not just that. We are, I always believe communication skill is one of the most important skill any UX designer must have. Because you will talk with colleagues, you will talk with business owners, you will talk with users, you will present your work, even you will run a lot of things around. So communication skills is a must with capital letters for any UX designers.
Yeah, I've often said that I think UX is actually a sales job. Because we're not
Totally
developers
agree.
who can just build it, and we're not stakeholders who can just tell someone else to build it. We always have to convince people. So if you can't
Totally
sell the
agree.
work, it won't get done.
Yes. What you like to ask more? I'm more than happy
Oh,
to have more
I'm just
questions.
looking. I'm looking through my notes. There's so many interesting things. You mentioned when you were talking about your team makeup, I believe you said you had UI designers, I assume focusing on the visual design, UX, maybe more interaction design, and potentially research as well. Did I get that right?
Yes. We have, again, for every team, a dedicated UX designer, UI designer, and UX researcher.
Now, there's been a trend in the U.S. and I think probably in Europe as well to move towards a more generalist, move from the specialist to the generalist. I'm curious how do you view that, and what made you choose to separate the disciplines as opposed to try to find people who can do a little bit of everything?
Okay. Generalist is good for medium companies, for startups, but as a seniors. For enterprise, again, I'm talking about enterprise experience now. No, you need dedicated people because they are living and breathing that product. So he working the whole year with the portal team, and he working on a very specific thing. So really, in this case, you need a dedicated people because of the size of the work. No one be can doing everything together. So for that, you need to make it specialist, not generalist. Really, I believe you need a person. Okay, they came. In the end of the day, they came as their basic was generalist, but then they became specialist. Especially to UX/UI, sometimes we push the people these two fields. Like any UX designer, we try our best that he already do UI. So if we like be entitled in some work, we push him to the UI. But no, I believe that you need to separate them because in the end of the day, the size of the project is really, forcing us to having this specialization. Even we have a title. It's not in my team, but it's within our discipline. And why is that? It's just an organizing thing. They started that job before me. We have an analytical person. So we have a dedicated person who just follow the analytical insights and all of the outcome from the analytical tools. And he making like daily reports and he following the numbers and all these things. So this is one of the challenges. Like you can say, okay, why you need a dedicated person? We have thousands and thousands of visitors and even session recording. If you just put 3 people just for that job, they will not see all the session recording. So in the huge companies, they having, and you are in a very, very, again, competitive field. For example, the e-shop, you need really to see how is the flow there. You need to see why the people not buying your offer. You need to see the people, how really they filtering your products, how they even sort them. And I was having my internship in eBay Australia in the beginning. So I really learned a lot about e-commercing and how much the research team is a very important thing. So this is one of the challenges that we always face. So generalist is very good for a small and medium companies, especially startups, but not junior. Senior generalist. Junior, I always see that as a startups, if you hire juniors, you'll destroy your startups because I done that. You don't have the luxury to teach them and invest in them because that will, you know, because I'm a company owner on the other side and I work it in startups, in medium. I work it also in agency. So in agency, yes, you need a generalist. I agree. In agency, you need a journalist because you have the project and you move to another project. So you need a person who can do, not UX team of one, but at least you having the full spectrum experience. But in enterprise, it's a different story. No, you need specialist people. So again, the environment, the field, like generalist is not better than specialist or vice versa. It's not about that. It's about,
Just
again,
different.
UX, target audience, and what's the environment and all these things. So for agencies, for sure, I'm totally with you, generalist, because they need to jump from one project to another.
No, I
That's it.
appreciate how you framed that because I say generally I agree with you that I think specialists offer more value. It's hard to be good at so many different disciplines that have an
Sure.
incredible depth to them. But yes, there are situations where, especially a small team startup, like a generalist can be very helpful. Um, I really appreciate all the time you're taking. I wanted to maybe this might be a good wrap up question. If there's is there a message or something that you would like to communicate to other people either in the Arabic world or beyond who are looking to make a change into UX, looking to get into the field, especially as it's growing in many areas? Is there like one message that you would give to them to that they should take with them?
Okay. But exactly to whom exactly? To juniors, seniors, like again, to
Let's think of
men
like junior people who are thinking about either maybe they're in school and they're thinking about studying UX or joining UX or they're in
in the
another
Arabic world.
career. Yeah, let's go with the Arabic world.
Yes, the Arabic world, let us say. First of all, this is a career of life. Like UX is not just a step in your life. From my experience, really, UX is a career for life. Like you can spend your whole time and your whole career path in UX field. So some people, they just jump and say, okay, I will be working as a UX designer and then on the side a developer or on the side anything else. You will not have the time or even the energy or even okay, I'm having 16 or 15 years now user experience in the field and 20 in total, and I'm still learning more and more and more every day. And even with every new technology there is a new experience, so it's becoming crazy, like wow. I always believe that if I spend the time exactly what I'm spending now on reading and expanding my knowledge, if I done that in high school or university, I will be the top of the class. If it's go back to time. So UX is a very, very competitive field, but it's amazing. You learn a lot every day. It's not boring at all. Even it's the same process, but no, you learn with every product. Even with you meeting new people all over around the world, uh, you must. There is like my advice to anyone who want to go to UX as first step his language. 90% of the let us say, especially for the Arab world, 90% of, or even not sorry, 99% of the material, training material and learning material is in English. So he must improve his English first, then he go to UX, because all of the classes, all of the lectures, all of the courses, all of the books in English. So he have a good English as a beginning. As I told, it's a career for life. He must know it's needing a very good communication skills. It's not just about knowledge the stuff, it's about how to practice it. So it's two lines going totally beside each other. You cannot do the practice without the knowledge, and you cannot knowledge without the practice is useless. So they're going hand by hand all the time. I always have this example even in my classes. Reading 100 book about swimming will not help you when you jump in the water. You must drown, you must fight in the water. You will not, stop and say, okay, what they say in the book, let's go this and this. So when you jump in the UX field as a practical, you need to go practical, hit some walls, doing some stuff wrong until you learn. So if you want to learn UX, you must understand what is UX before you go in it. So I advise him to go to any introduction free course is around. My course in Drag, there is many YouTube channels they telling you what is UX. So understand the field as a basic, as a top view before you try to go in it. When you try to go in it, don't go too much practical or don't go too much theoretical. Hand by hand all the time. So this is one of the things that I see a lot of people, they spending a reading, let us say 5 books, 6 books, and he happy that he done 6 books or he go through 5 courses without even doing one interview or trying to do a survey or something. Sorry to say that's useless, because when he started to write his first interview, all of us almost was in that case like, okay, what the hell, what I will write? Or even he write a very bad question. So it's about practicing with theory all the time. So, and also he must know that behind every door in UX, there is 2 doors. Too much information, too much knowledge, too much connecting to other fields. UX is mixed between IT, design, marketing, applied psychology, business, many fields. More knowledge you have in different fields will help you. One of the things also, as a junior, short courses is not the solution. I believe in boot camps. To learn UX, pick a boot camp, then you can enter the field. Small course will not be good. Why is that? It's give you knowledge but without the practice. And practice without mentor or tutor-led boot camp is not a solution. You need to present your work to someone who is senior or experienced and he to give you feedback. If you don't have that value, the course will not really enter you to the UX field. So from this is, and even I'm preparing like a very lecturer or a paper really about challenging in teaching UX and learning UX. One of the things that I really noticed through the years that the people always, when they ask you what is the best course, I always, so not be biased to anyone, I always say pick boot camps. For example, no one can say any word about the certification of any group. They are one of the top of the market, and really I like their material and I like them. But again, for a junior, maybe they will be a little bit heavy. I always prefer any group certification for at least people who are having 1 or 2 years at least in the market. So they have at least some practical knowledge. Yes, I know there is no prerequisite for any group, but as you will be surprised, maybe Don Norman will be angry from me for that. I don't recommend the Design of Everyday Thing as the first book to read about UX. No. I recommend Don't Make Me Think for Stephen King.
Also a good one, yeah.
Why is that? For a person, especially, and this is from experience, who don't have any background in IT, the Design of Everyday Thing will be overwhelming. This is, let us say, the knowledge that in the Design of Everyday Thing, a little bit heavy as a beginning step. Like imagine that a person who start to run and you make him run 6 hours every day. He will go crazy. You start with him with a small information amount of time and then you improve him. Don't Make Me Think, really a very nice book to digest what is UX as the beginning. Don't Make Me Think It's very good book. And again, I am not totally not against Don Norman. He is the godfather of our field. I adore him. He is my idol, really. But the idea that I see it from my experience, people especially who coming from non-IT and engineering and that discipline background, the terms, the book, even the number of the pages will be a little bit heavy. So I advise people even sometimes to have a boot camp and then read the design of everyday thing that making more sense for them. So
Okay.
again, you want to learn UX, start, especially you are a junior, you need to go to a boot camp where you're doing task, you will learn, do task, mentor or a tutor or a trainer, give you feedback on your task, and you end it with portfolio. This is a very good way to enter the UX, and I saw that by my eyes through. I am a senior UX and UI mentor with Career Foundry since 2016, almost 5 or 6 years now with them. I'm one of the earliest mentor they have, and I saw it through the years. A lot of our, and their percentage is very high, more than 90% of the graduate getting jobs directly, and a lot of them. I have now at the moment my patch. I have a professional rugby player. He used to be a professional rugby player, a lawyer, and an actor. All of them changing careers in the middle of their ages to UX. And some of them, as you see, an actor, what UX he have? Sorry, what IT knowledge he have? But if I show you his portfolio, almost he done, he is one of the top people I have. Do you know why? He already have the empathy part. As an actor, he must, have the empathy to present characters. So really, he have the empathy part, and I believe he will become a great UX designer in the future. And he, through the boot camp over 8 months, 9 months, he done an amazing job really, and he have the passion. And really, I'm honored, not just proud. I'm really honored to be his mentor. And I will mention him later on when he finish all of his work. I will mention him on my LinkedIn account. So people like these, and the rugby player also is amazing. These people really even encourage me as a mentor, as a trainer, to continue be as a mentor and a trainer. To see how people coming from different background, they become a very great UX designer. So anyone, I advise anyone can become a UX designer, but not anyone can become a good or a great UX designer. There's a lot of hard work, there is a lot of practice, and a lot of search for knowledge. So boot camps is the best way to enter UX. Certifications like like in any group, I believe this is like the ultimate goal in your career path.
So I think I'd be remiss if I didn't ask this as a
Yes.
follow-up. I was going to wrap us up, but we're because we're going a little long.
Yes.
I know this is the weekend
Yes.
for you. But in the U.S. and I think in Europe as well, there's a lot of criticism of boot camps in terms of they tend to be, I think, maybe shorter side. You mentioned 8 or 9 months. I think a lot of them we see 12 weeks, 3 months, maybe less. That they're not preparing people for the jobs that are open in the market. Now, I think that's as much a problem of the jobs that are there. There just aren't as many entry-level jobs. Are you seeing either longer boot camps or more entry-level jobs? Is there a better synergy that you're seeing between boot camps and the market for you?
Okay, it's not about the time. If they are intensive boot camp, like on 12 weeks or 16 weeks or 3 months or 5 months, like for example, UDCT, they having their nano degree on 3 months. Just the students, I advise my students to, after they finish the boot camp, to have an internship, and if they get a job as a junior job, never ever go to a place that you don't have a senior.
Yeah.
Like, don't apply to startups. If you are the first person and the only person, you will hit a wall, you will not learn really, you are just compromising that. And sometimes the students, and also this is the missing part, as a junior, and I started in some places, I was running the interviews, but I wasn't the person who putting the question in the first place. I was participating. I'm not the person who decide how many people we must interview. This is a little bit strategic decisions and seniors. The problem, these things is not explained in the boot camp. So I believe boot camp, again, the structure and the way of the boot camp is the right way. In this case, in the end of the day, also in universities, many people, have engineering, but some You know, in this case, it's depending on the teachers in the environment and some stuff like. Again, I believe in the boot camp, but if there is some boot camp is not producing people ready to the market, that because they didn't do it in the right way. You
Okay.
must give them ahead of what is in the market. You must also provide them with templates, with some, let us say, ready stuff. And also, I always advise my students, don't reinvent the wheel. Work smart, not hard. So, okay, draw a couple of icons, but at the end of the day, when you go out to the market, buy ready set icons from the market, for God's sake. Don't waste 1 month of your time drawing some icons, especially generic icons, while you can find them in the market for $5 or $7. Work smart. Even, you know, if you don't very good in presenting templates, buy a nice presentation. I will not hire you as UX designer for build the presentation, for design presentation. I am care about the information. If you buy or you bring a professional template and you use it, I will be more than happy. The customer will not, you know, ask you or pay us or charge us for designing a nice presentation. So it's about evaluating what is where you put your efforts. So again, working smarter. So any boot camp must putting a goal that if they want the people to enter the field, they must go through the whole UX process, presenting a portfolio, and always focus on the feedback on that portfolio, on the tasks. So I am telling you, some of the career founder students may be graduating and they didn't find a job, and I'm saying to say that it's depending on the student sometimes. If he didn't put effort and if he think it's just, you know, passing tasks, he will not clear. It's about putting a real effort. UX is not a surgery rocket, the second book, but it's need efforts. It's need hard working. You must get your hands dirty to become a UX designer. This is like my final word. You must get your hands dirty and you must fail. You must fail 90% of your time before you get it right. We done that. It's not just straightforward. It's not magic. It's not something that's coming. It's something really, for that it's a career life. It's something living it all the time to become a great UX designer.
Yeah, I appreciate that's probably a great message to end on. And you talked about doing those failure conversations in your team meetings, and that, yes, a lot of the work we do, we fail, but we learn from it, and that's how we get to a good place in the end. Well, Ahmad, so thank you so much for taking so much of your time to chat with me. Where are the best places for people to find you on social media? I think you're on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram.
Yes, yes. LinkedIn. I always prefer LinkedIn, as especially mainly I use that English there, so no language barriers. I have my page on Facebook and Instagram, but mainly LinkedIn will be more than. I always reply on LinkedIn, so they can always connect with me over LinkedIn. I just mentioned for the Arabic people maybe who's sewing your work, we have already the Arabic UX community, and I send you the link. It's a community to build awareness about the Arabic word. We're running sessions, book a club, many activities, and all of them are free. And this is one of the things that we tried to distribute back to the community. I always believe that knowledge is right to be distributed, and I always believe in communities, and this is something I learned from my work in Australia and Germany. United in knowledge, we stand. Divided in ignorance, we fail. I always believe to share knowledge, share your experience, and this is what bring me first to your show. And I'm really enjoy it. And you was a great host. Also, the honor and the pleasure was mine. You done a great questions, and all of your question was amazing. I really enjoyed to be in your broadcast and show.
Well, I greatly appreciate you bringing your voice into the podcast. Thank you so much for being here. All the links that we talked about during the conversation to Ahmad's Facebook and the Arabic UX community, all those will be at the show notes at sux.live. That's SUX for Saving UX. And again, thank you so much for being here. And to everyone else, thank you so much for listening.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a nice day, everyone.